Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy Focus Baseball. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, July 22nd, 2021. He is Tristan H. Cockroft. The H stands for happy. Kyle Soppe expertly produces and researches. I'm just Eric Carabell. Fantasy Focus Baseball is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Congrats to those Milwaukee Bucks and really the Phoenix Suns as well. I really wanted a Game 7 tonight. That was my personal choice, but oh well. Congrats to Giannis. What an amazing, I know, Tristan, you were probably watching your Yankees on Tuesday, but what an amazing Game 6 that was. The playoffs were so much fun, even as my team, pooped all over itself and left in the early. But that was great. That was great. Milwaukee, Phoenix, two teams that hadn't won in either forever or in the longest time. I want to see that in baseball too. Teams that didn't. Let's see the Padres in the World Series. Let's see who else is a team that's
the Milwaukee won. Brewers.
Maybe the Brewers. Absolutely. They've never won.
Could be a big year for Milwaukee, like the Tampa past year.
Tampa's never won. Yeah, let's see Tampa, Milwaukee, the battle of Willy Adames in the World Series. That'd be fun.
Yes, I'd love that.
Willy Adames revenge. Would that be great?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, this is a baseball show, so we're going to talk about baseball and see if there's anything that's on Tristan's mind today. The MLB trade deadline, by the way, is a week from tomorrow. That's next Friday, and we will have a show. We will have two shows next week, as always, Monday, Thursday, and then we'll see what happens on Friday. I'm not sure a whole lot's going to happen. The Cubs seem like they're driving the news here, but from a fantasy aspect, Chris Bryant as a Cub or Chris Bryant as a Yankee or an Astro or a Brewer, I'm not sure there's that much of a difference here. So, he is what he is, and he's very good. I'm not saying he isn't. But to me, the trade deadline is mainly about, David Bednar, who becomes a closer because the closer gets traded. That's mainly what it's about for fantasy purposes. But, we'll get into this more next week. Do you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I agree. The closers are usually where the needle is moved the most because that's just a categorical shift. Just that one category saves fall into the other guys, so Bednar's column. There are often at the last minute big names that get traded who do send waves throughout fantasy. The fantasy values themselves don't change significantly, but I'm going to bet there is a big move. I'm going to bet there is a Bryant or maybe a Javi Baez or something like that kind of move. Maybe it's to the other league, and then we get into the discussion of AL versus NL only leagues and opening up the fab wallet. Look, I don't know how your experience is, but in a lot of mine, there is quite a bit of fab hoarding.
I've been in my NL only labor. I have all my money. I'm waiting to see who gets traded from the AL to the NL. You're right. The biggest news really is not just about closers. It's about, Chris Bryant goes to the American League, then that would be a big deal there. Yeah. I should have bid on Willy Adames when he got traded to Milwaukee. I was like, I'll save it. Willy Adames, what's so special? Willy Adames has been one of the top shortstops in all of baseball since that trade.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Anyway.
And you were on that with Adames, and I made a couple of aggressive bids after that one.
I did. I bid a lot.
Pleased with what he's done.
I bid on him in Tout Wars, and now I've moved up, not just because of him, but I moved up 20 points between the trade I made and Adames. That's a mixed. Yeah. But nobody wanted Willy Adames. He wasn't hitting. True. And then I was like, okay, this might mean something. So I bid on him and JP Fireeisen, who for a little while was good. But
from the only leagues angles, do you have leagues where that one player could just by dropping into that league make big waves here? Because I'm looking at my big AL and NL only leagues, and
Absolutely.
I'm in a situation where the corner is a weak spot. If Chris Bryant got traded to the American League, and I had the hammer in terms of fab, if I'm the one who could make the biggest bid and get him, that makes a big difference just based on the upgrade I get at corner infield. So that's. It's going to be curious to see. You and I have had so many discussions over the years, labor and Tout Wars, about big fab bids we've made at the trade deadline. I'm curious who it's going to be this year.
I am too. We'll get more into that next week. The news of today, I guess that Giants-Dodgers series. What an amazing series that was or has been, and I would love to see that in the playoffs. I don't know if you got to see any of this Giants-Dodgers series, but that was it was serious baseball to me. That was a lot of fun, and blown saves. It was Trevor Rogers one night. It was Kenley Jansen the next. They have one more game. It's on ESPN Plus tonight. Anthony DeSclafani, who's been great. Walker Buehler has been great. Yeah. I am absolutely checking that out. Hope I can stay awake to watch the whole thing. Yes, I'm not 29 years old.
It's not easy.
Not easy. And then
I'm trying. I'm fighting it.
I'm not debating this. I'll wake up early to watch the Olympics, at 7 a.m., but 4 and 5 a.m. No, I can't do that. Come on. That's just, That's just too much. Nick Castellanos of the Cincinnati Reds. We're expecting him to be placed on the injury list. He has a slight wrist fracture, but slight wrist fracture is still a wrist fracture. And this is a shame because this has been one of the best players in fantasy this season. Nick Castellanos could win a batting title. I don't think he's ever hit 30 home runs in a season. Where is he on the player rater? He's the number 13 hitter on the full season player rater, Nick Castellanos. And now he may be lost for a while. So what are your thoughts on him?
I do think he has an injured list stint in his immediate future. I just can't see how he's going to be able to play through this. And the issue I have with it is that because it's a wrist and a fracture, does this have any sort of long-term impact on his power? Because that's the thing that's been really, really impressive this season. I just got to hope that it's a short stint, that he heals pretty quickly and comes back. I'm not making any dramatic changes, and certainly you can't cut him in ESPN leagues. I think that's one of the ones you have to keep in the IL spot.
You can cut him if he's out for the next 6 weeks.
If there is a timetable announced that he is missing 6+ weeks, yes.
Aristides Aquino. Any interest there?
No, just the daily league lefty.
Power.
Lefty
he showed power 2 seasons ago in September. So we know he can hit for power, but pitchers also kind of know how to get him out.
He's just not very good. He does have prolific power and he does have the ballpark to exploit it, but I would only really use him in the streaming against lefty starters mold, and preferably in the good ballparks like his home one.
6 home runs and 9 runs batted in. 9 runs scored. It's a very interesting line for him, Aristides Aquino, right now.
Also, on base decently this year. I'm a little surprised.
It's a small sample. He's at 67 plate appearances, but he's 27. He's not a kid. And I don't know. I would like to see what he could do. I mean, I think he's a legit pickup if Castellanos goes on the injury list. I mean, how many outfielders are out there right now? Let me look at the most added list for outfielders, because this Bryce Harper could go on the injury list too. He might have broken the bone in his ankle. Fouling a ball off at Yankee Stadium last night. Jaron Duran is up to 35% rostered. The next outfielder, my goodness, Josh Harrison is the number 2 most added outfielder in ESPN leagues. Josh Harrison. Akil Baddoo of Detroit. Josh Rojas, who himself got hurt. Jock Peterson. Brandon Marsh of the Angels. Robbie Grossman's having a better season than most people realize. Robbie Grossman's at like 14 home runs already. Tyler Naquin.
And by the way, to those, you mentioned 2 Tigers there. The Tigers have been falling into some very favorable weekly matchups at times, and people aren't thinking about them a lot. Do not completely discard them. Baddoo has moved up often into the leadoff spot, and Grossman's hitting third.
Yeah, which is unbelievable that Robbie Grossman's batting third. But Akil Baddoo has 8 home runs and 14 stolen bases in like half the season. Yeah. And he's not being overwhelmed. He's taking walks. Now, he's overwhelmed against lefties. He should not be playing at all against lefties. But against right-handed pitching, he's off. 945 OPS with power and speed.
I know. They are leading him off against lefties. It shows some of the lack of depth on the roster, but it's also speaking well to his performance lately.
I would pick up Akil Baddoo. I think he's very interesting right now.
Juice that orange.
I'm not sure that's a juicing the orange. I think he's going to continue to hit right-handed pitching. Maybe not to a 945 OPS, but like, how much different is he than Jesse Winker right now? I mean, really?
Yeah, and those
Winker can't hit lefties at all.
Right. They're in exact contrast to one another. I do trust Winker's skill set to be consistent week over week in general. But yeah, to your point, he's been in a massive slump, doesn't hit lefties, have to use him against righties, the righty-heavy weeks. I just don't think Baddoo has that star caliber potential week over week. I think it's short-lived.
Fair enough. Yerman Mercedes is rostered in 26.4% of ESPN standard leagues. Last night on Instagram, he announced his retirement, but I don't think we think that's going to stick. Maybe he's angry at the organization, or he doesn't like minor league hotels, or whatever it is. But what would you do with him in a deeper league? Wouldn't you wait to see how this plays out? Because it's certainly possible. I doubt the White Sox call him back up because of this announcement, but I bet they change his mind and they trade him somewhere. What do you think happens here?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to pass a judgment on him because, look, everybody needs to make their own decisions, and I respect the fact that he's doing that. If he feels he needs to step away from baseball, I get it. I think the problem is that while he could change his mind tomorrow, if this is the announcement and it's the truth, I really do think that ends his season for all intents and purposes for fantasy. I just don't think that he gets back into the mix for the White Sox. They remove him from their plans, and it's just not in the cards, and we're looking at 2022.
Certainly glad I dropped Dalton Varsho to pick up Mercedes in May. That worked out really well. Yeah, no, he made his choice, but I don't know if that's
in fairness. Varsho had done nothing until about a couple of weeks ago.
I know. That's that happens. No more Alex Kirilloff of the Twins. Have you seen enough of Alex Kirilloff to think that he could be interesting and relevant in 2022? He has an injury, I think, to his wrist. Twins have guys like that. Like, he reminds me of Kepler a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna. He was supposed to hit for batting average. Kirilloff, he's a left-handed guy with power, but he had 251 this season in 231 plate appearances. So maybe Max Kepler hasn't exactly shined. They have a couple guys like this.
Yeah, and I feel that Kepler's power is a little bit overrated and his hit tool is not as good as Kirilloff's is. I don't think Kirilloff is a vastly superior player long term, but I like him. And I do think he's going to be a starting corner outfield for them. I also think Trevor Larnach is going to be one. I think they're both solid players. I like Kirilloff personally. This could be a buying opportunity in dynasty leagues. It could.
After our show on Monday, everybody scored a ton of runs. National scored 18, yes, although it was against Miami. That Mets-Reds game went to extra innings. It was 15-11. Tigers scored run, Red Sox. We don't really talk about spin rates very much on this show because I feel like if you're rostering Garrett Cole, nothing's going to change. You're not going to trade him away because the spin rate's going down or anything like that. But did you make any? Because and runs didn't get scored in bushels since Monday. It was just one day. What are you making of the last 5 weeks since MLB cracked down and started enforcing pitchers and what they're doing there? Is any change to you in fantasy?
A little bit, yes, but it's affecting everybody relatively equally, I think. Garrett Cole was one of the biggest examples of players who slumped initially afterwards, and then he's been outstanding in the past couple of outings since then. So that answered some of the questions. To the Monday high-scoring day, I'll reply that it was day 4 coming out of the All-Star break. It means a lot of 4th and 5th starters and guys who were at the All-Star game who didn't really get a break, who were coming back and might have been on a little bit of limits. So I think it was a one-day aberration. But at the same time, it dawned upon me that, yes, scoring could well be up. We've talked about how batting average is up a good chunk of points since these rules went into effect.
I bet scoring is going to be a
little bit more.
I think scoring is really going to be up in September because there's no more 40-man roster. Everybody gets on the roster in September. Pitchers are already running out of gas.
Are you sure? What are the rules?
28. I thought it was 28. It was the roster limit.
Right. But then you can't have everybody on it, so you can't have a ton of relievers.
Right. So, and we're already seeing it's not even August yet, and so many relief pitchers, starting pitchers. First of all, a lot of starting pitchers, young starting pitchers are going to get shut down, especially on also-ran teams. Yep. So that's going to affect things. And, I don't want to name names, but you're going to see all these journeyman types, like the guy who started that game for the Marlins on Monday, gave up a ton of runs, and they just left him in there. Might have been the Marlins, might have been Toronto. I can't remember, but that lefty.
Detweiler,
that's the
started.
One. Yeah. And you're going to see more guys like that who probably don't belong in the major leagues, but just need to eat innings for bad teams to get them through a 6-month season. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to really help the hitters in September, but it may even be before that. So, because hitters get tired, but it's not like pitchers getting tired. So,
I'm gonna have to dig deeply into the roster rules because I lack the understanding on September whether it's going to go like the NFL with inactives. If we're still subject to the 10-day minor league demotions and the like, it's going to make those maneuvers difficult. In which case, I agree with you, but I think that expands into August. Miami, I'm glad you brought them up. Miami has a very high likelihood of their pitchers cratering. They are all ahead of pace. All of their good arms are ahead of pace. They don't have the depth to fill this. As you mentioned, Detweiler is representative of the fact they don't even have fill-in options. They brought in Braxton Garrett and sent him back down after one spot start. I don't know how they're going to fill the final 6 weeks.
I don't either. I mean, even right now, Alcantara is coming back. I think he's on the bereavement list, but Pablo Lopez has a shoulder. Trevor Rogers, they're going to shut him down early. So I don't know how they get through the final 2 months of the season. Somebody's going to sign Bartolo Colon at some point, right? I mean,
maybe that'd be fun.
Well, maybe them. I don't know how a team like that, Sixto's done. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Cleveland is going to fall into this, depending on the health of their other guys. I think Baltimore is going to fall into this to a certain degree.
They're already using Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
So you're going to have Tom Eshelman will start. Oh. Yeah.
Arizona could fall into this.
I was thinking look,
Detroit.
The team I used to root for is facing such an easy schedule in September. They're going to face like Pittsburgh's pitching and Arizona's pitching. Like, how can you not score runs?
In defense, I think Pittsburgh's a little better off for depth than those teams that I mentioned.
All right, let's move along now. It's time for Combo Meals. Sing it.
Hey, it's a combo meal. Combo. It's a combo meal. Home run plus steal.
These players are making moves this week, and Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports. Jeff McNeil, the Mets, not having a very good season, but he had a homer and a steal on Monday. The aforementioned Max Kepler did it on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Chris Taylor, who's really underrated, I got to tell you. Yep. He's a top 100 player. And Jorge Polanco did it as well. I've got Chris Taylor rostered in a whole bunch of spots. And, man, I'm really enjoying the Chris Taylor experience. He's the number 20 hitter for the season on our player rater. He's lodged in between Juan Soto and Xander Bogaerts for the season on the player rater. Eligible at both middle infield spots and outfield. On his way to a 2020 season. With Mookie out, he's been leading off. And Mookie's not having a very good season. He's not in the top 20. It's just, that's interesting to me. Like Chris Taylor, after all these years, I mean, he's always been not always, in Seattle he wasn't, but he's been a pretty underrated player with the Dodgers. And now, I mean, if you look at Chris Taylor's like numbers of past 2 seasons, you're like, he's a helpful player. He's a guy who's generally available in free agency, a little bit of pop, doesn't hurt you in average. He's already at 14 homers and 9 steals. Love this guy.
Yeah, and he's a 30-year-old who you'd think would not have this sort of career uptick, except for the fact that he has drawn a lot more walks over the past year. I'm not even going to say calendar year. It's past literal year. I'm wondering a little bit here, is this kind of like the new Justin Turner, where at that point in his career where you wouldn't expect it to happen, that he did something to improve himself to that level, that he is a year-over-year superstar now? I like this guy.
I
not elite stats, but
top 100 guy. Do you know there's only 5 guys who have scored more runs than Chris Taylor this season? And they're all all-stars.
Not shocked.
Fernando
He's been
Tatis
one of the few
Jr.,
guys who stayed healthy for them.
The 3 juniors, Tatis, Vlad, and Acuna, Bo Bichette, and Marcus Semien. Chris Taylor was an all-star too, but Chris Taylor's really underrated. Anyway,
yeah,
that's
he's not going to put up the league-leading numbers in any one category, but they're all going to be good. Very reliable, consistent, multi-qualifier, like you said.
I mean, Jorge Polanco is having pretty much the same season without he's scoring runs too. I mean, 14 homers, 9 steals, 260, kind of what, maybe you expected coming into the season. Nobody ever talks about Jorge Polanco, but, he hasn't really been brought into the Twins' morale. Like it's okay what he's been doing. He had 22 homers a couple of years ago, and I was like, he can't do that again. He's going to do that again, and he's going to get a career high in stolen bases.
Not really true that he hasn't been talked about. Some moron suggested cutting him because he felt he was overrated, and I just don't know who that guy might have been.
I don't know. Is that you or me? I don't remember.
Yes, that was me. No, that was me. And it was well over a month ago that I felt, based on the depth of the Twins and the fact I thought they'd rebound, that he wasn't going to get either the playing time or put up the numbers he did. And to his credit, he's been very, very good since then. Not a great player. I still would cash in, but needs to be rostered.
He's the Chris Taylor of the American League. How about that?
I don't agree with you on that, but I respect the fact that he should be on every roster. So I'm not far off your evaluation. I'm not a top 100 guy for me. Is he for you?
No, but I feel like if we're heralding Chris Taylor with his 14 homers and 9 steals, then why isn't Polanco getting the same kind of credit?
Taylor's got a much better on-base percentage.
Oh, I'm not saying who's a better player. I'm just talking about fantasy. Okay, there's plenty of fantasy options that aren't great.
It is so wide between the two.
He can't score as many runs. He's not going to score as many runs, and probably won't have the same batting average. But, I mean, where's Polanco in the season player rater among hitters? Isn't he? He's got to be. He is number 40. Yeah, ahead of Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz, who I love so much, Jorge Polanco, only because of the stolen bases, is higher on the player rater. He's higher than Jordan Alvarez and Jake Cronenworth and Mookie Betts and Joey Gallo. I mean, and Harper. Jorge Polanco's doing fine. Yeah,
he's been excellent. As I said, I still lean towards the cash in there and believe in Taylor, but you're right. We're going to have some really bad blown calls of the year. That's one of mine.
I'm going to have plenty myself. Let's move on to the closers. It's time for you to sing again.
It's the closer carousel.
Oh, Alex Reyes, that was bad. Walk people, giving up hits. I mean, it was about time, I think, for his luck to run out to some degree. I mean, you can't walk that many hitters and just get away with it. He had nary a blown save, and that was a bad one. Cubs scored a ton of runs. Cubs aren't even trying to win, and they scored a ton of runs in the ninth inning to beat Alex Reyes, but I still think he's a safe closer. You were more worried about durability than actual ability, I believe. And is that still the case?
Yes, I'm trying to do a quick projection of his numbers for you. He's pacing still over 70 innings. That's a little. I'm a little uncomfortable with that.
If I told you Joakim Soria is a top 10 closer the rest of the season, would that be crazy?
Yes.
Arizona was due to start winning more games.
I think that's crazy.
If he stays in Arizona, why can't he have as many saves as Alex Reyes or Kenley Jansen in the final 2 months?
Because that team is terrible. I'm not joking. I get where you're going. It's not an outrageous statement to say that Soria is going to have some definitive fantasy value, should be rostered in all fantasy leagues if he stays in Arizona, but that team is very bad.
Who's Baltimore's closer? Do we care?
No.
I don't care.
Tanner
Scott got the chance, I guess. Yeah. Tanner Scott, Tyler Wells, people are adding him. I don't care. And are you adding Ryan Tepera, assuming Craig Kimbrell gets traded? Because Chafin probably gets traded too. Rowan Wick is actually supposed to come off the 60-day injury list any day now. And Rowan Wick, I think, got some saves to them last year. Wasn't he their closer when Kimbrell blew up?
Or that might have been 2 years ago.
Rowan, the years all like together at this point.
I remember the period you said Wick did step in as a closer. I think Tepera is the one that I would roster if I'm speculating. I'm not excited by anybody in that bullpen, though, to be honest with you. That's not one I'm aggressively throwing darts in the hopes that Kimbrell gets traded. I don't know how good do you think the Cubs are going to be after the break? It depends who they trade. They've been really inconsistent.
Yeah, but are they going to be Arizona bad? I mean, with Jason Hayward batting cleanup, I don't know.
I don't think so, but they've been that bad at times. They've had some real bad
losing streak. But like, my point is, like, doesn't Soria have like 5 saves this month or something like that? Like, even bad teams have stretches where they give people saves. And Soria has 3 saves in the last 4 days.
Yeah.
And 5 since July 7th. So, how many people have more than that? Josh Hader doesn't. I'm just saying, like, I know that's ridiculous, but it never shocks me when bad teams give because they don't score a ton of runs, so they're close games. Soria may get more saves than anybody on the Rays. That's legitimate.
Yeah, that it's a fair point. There's a path where he could fall into that group. I would not place that valuation on him. I think I would have no problem off the top of my head coming with 10 better relievers.
Oh, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I'm not saying that. All right.
Yeah, I think we both could off the top of our head, which says to me that he's probably better. At most, he's 16th.
Finally, burying the lead. Worried about the Mets and Diaz, or not worried?
I'm not worried. Do I believe in a manager's vote of confidence? I guess I do.
I mean, Trevor may get another save chance soon, but like, it's just a bad stretch for Diaz. Both New York closers, and the other one's fine now.
And the other one's, quote, back in the closer role now. It's unbelievable.
All right, looking at the schedule, there is a day game on Thursday. Half the schedule is off. Blake Snell is back at Miami. If you want to use Blake Snell, it's a road game, but it's a road game against a bad team in a big ballpark, so it's probably safe. Yep. But I mean, if you give me odds on him going 5 innings, I'm taking the under. Not, and by the way, the guy traded for him, Luis Patino, is at Cleveland. Would you rather have today? You're going to say Snell, but can you make the case for Luis Patino at Cleveland over Blake Snell at Miami today?
You can, going through the logic you're giving here. I'm going to take the over on Snell just based on that matchup, but I see your point. Patino, I really don't know what his pitch count is going to be. That's the only problem I have with this game. It's a great matchup. I have no idea what the pitch count is going to be. And in fairness, it is on the road. Cleveland is a noticeably worse ballpark for a pitcher than Tampa Bay.
I mean, I'd like to say Patino over Snell rest of the season, but I can't guarantee Patino's going 5 innings in any of his starts either. By the way, the most added player in ESPN leagues is Cardinals lefty Kwang Hyun Kim. He's at home against Adbert Azalea, who spent a lot of time talking about this season. Kim's not a strikeout guy, but that ERA has been fantastic. And the Cubs, as we said, kind of in the tank here. Friday's slate, there is one day game. It's at Wrigley Field. Zach Davies and Zach Gallen, very different. I've given up on Zach Davies. It's just not enough strikeouts for me. ESPN Plus has Max Fried and Zach Wheeler. My personal probably to watch something else. Any other pitchers on Friday that are interesting to you? Odorizzi at home against Texas. I don't know what Odorizzi is, man. Is he a top 40 starting pitcher or not? Because he wasn't in his last outing.
Fair point. I'm wondering myself. I'll lean towards, but he's got to step up for this matchup. By the way, he's in a pretty good stretch overall. The next matchup he's going to get is an at Seattle game, another very favorable one. My Friday debate guy is Willie Peralta, based on that last outing. He doesn't miss bats at all. I mean, he's been good I think it's 2 of his past 3 outings, and it's a road Kansas City game. I don't know what to make of this guy. Tell me what I should do, because I have to decide.
He's the AL Kwang Hyun Kim. I mean, you're hoping he can continue to get soft contact without strikeouts, keep his ERA low. He's on a lesser team, obviously, but it's always dangerous to roster lefty starting pitchers who don't get strikeouts. Scare me, and they should scare you.
He's not a lefty; he's a righty, though, and it's a great pitcher's ballpark.
I'm thinking Wandy.
Right. Wandy's the Yankee one, the lefty. Willie is the guy who used to be with the Brewers, maybe 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, no, I mixed them up. But he's not striking anybody out, which is still the bottom line.
Right. I think he missed 6 bats the entire game against Minnesota. I started him in that league because I didn't have enough active bodies to fill my pitching spots. That's what happens in the leagues that use the 3 days. Now I have to get my
Peraltas mixed up. And that's Friday's slate. Saturday, let's see what Saturday has for us. There's obviously day games on Saturday.
Hey, that's Ross Detweiler against San Diego.
Oh, that's fun. Chris Bassett and Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert's interesting. They win all his starts. He doesn't get lit. He's pitching well.
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert's okay. Would you use him at home against Oakland?
Absolutely. The forecaster grades are currently through the roof. It says this is the prime time to use him. By the way, next outing after that is at Texas.
Oh,
a much better matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Carlos Rodon and Corbin Burns. That's fun. 2 top 10 starting pitchers this season.
Yep.
I don't see anything else. Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly, we should mention, if we're going to talk Willie Peralta, we have to talk Merrill Kelly, don't we? And Merrill Kelly's been good of late. Now, I don't know why or whether that'll continue. Not exactly a strikeout maven himself, but he's been good. You adding him? Who are you adding? Peralta or Kelly?
The brain tells me Merrill Kelly is the smarter play here at Cubs. Reasonably favorable matchup. Actually, does that grade is a positive one? Righties Cubs. Yeah, that grade's actually noticeably above average. I'd go with Kelly. The only problem I have with Kelly is start over start. He is in a very tough schedule situation being in the division he's in.
Over the past month, it's a sub-3 ERA and a sub-1 WHIP, but not a lot of strikeouts there. So be wary. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN has Lance Lynn of the White Sox, who just got a contract extension, against Brandon Woodruff, who's really good. That's a great pitching matchup. I will be watching that.
Love it.
Wait. I'd rather watch Game 8 of the NBA Finals, but that series is already over.
I love it.
Can't do much about that. ESPN Plus has Pittsburgh and San Francisco, JT Brubaker and Alex Wood. This is a good spot to use Alex Wood. He looked fine against the Dodgers, so I don't know why you wouldn't trust him at home against Pittsburgh. Giants aren't going away. You know, I predicted the Padres would win the division, and they still can. I thought the Dodgers had some flaws. I didn't realize what was going to happen, to their $40 million right-hander, and Mookie would have such a bad season. But, they're a little bit flawed, the Dodgers are. I wrote a piece today that said that Keibert Ruiz, who they don't need in the majors anytime soon because they have a great catcher, is, obvious trade bait. And if Keibert Ruiz goes to another team and he's a starting catcher right now, he could be a top 10 fantasy catcher. Which, might be totally wrong, but, and I just traded for him in my score sheet league. So
nice. Okay.
But, my team is dead in the water in that league. And what else? Touki Toussaint on Sunday. Go Touki. Great name.
Yep.
All right. That is all.
By the way,
the schedule. Yes.
Sunday, Josiah Gray with his first. He's scheduled for his first start.
I watched his outing the other day, and other than the 3 home runs, it was fine. But you may say, "Oh, Erica, come on!" But other than that, he really was very good. I mean, it's a 3-pitch arsenal. He was striking people out. It looked like he had good command. He just left a couple over the plate, and they were for home runs. So obviously, you can't say, "Well, other than the shooting, Abe Lincoln, how is the play?" You can't do that. But I saw something there with Josiah Gray, which made me think I may even rather have him than Gonsolin the rest of the season if they let him pitch. And Ryan Pepiot, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but Pep Ayot, he might be in the majors soon as well. Dodgers need these pitchers because I don't know if that $40 million right-hander is pitching again this season.
I'm curious about it because, one, does the shoulder issue spare some of his innings for the rest of the year, or does it heighten their concern about innings caps? The other is it's home Rockies. That is a pretty substantially better matchup than the one he just had.
It is.
I'm curious how that. Keep your eye on that guy.
Kyle, welcome back. What do you got for us?
I've got trivia and hash browns, but I mean, other than the home runs, he was good. Like, other than a lack of height and skill, I'd be in the NBA. Like,
he made the reference, man. He made.
I know it sounds ridiculous, and I say ridiculous things all the time on this show, and maybe that's why people listen. But his outing, he gave up 4 hits in 4 innings. Now, 3 of them left the ballpark, but he had 7 strikeouts, so he gave up only 1 other hit. He only walked 1. I mean, he did look like a major league pitcher to me. Okay, obviously he's got to do something about the home runs. 2 true outcomes.
Yeah, 2 true outcomes.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought it was funny
that's
how
probably what he is.
I put it in a weird way. I grant you that. And the Abe Lincoln thing was probably going too far.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
Too soon on Abe Lincoln?
150 years is too soon.
I thought that was a perfect way to frame it. All right, trivia for today. I want you to name the 2 players this season that have a 300 batting average and at least 10 steals since June 1st. Was one player. That list got doubled last night.
We'll go with a left field guess on that one.
Out of left field? Maybe it's a left fielder. Who knows? Hash browns. Start with Show. He has a roster spot available and wants to speculate on a high upside player the rest of the way. Doesn't care about the floor. He wants to know who you like. Hitter or pitcher is okay by him.
Oh, boy.
I guess closer would be available, too, here if you want to.
I mean, the closer ones are obviously with Bednar and Tepera and,
Right, because isn't that the way to add most value? Because if a closer gets 6 saves in 3 weeks, like that's more value than any sleeper hitter could possibly provide.
I guess, but like there's so many saves available that nobody wants right now. Then I don't even know if I could answer it that way. Ian Kennedy still is available in half of ESPN's leagues. Ian Kennedy, who's getting saves. Ranger Suarez, in theory, a closer. Gregory Soto is a closer. He's available in 80% of leagues. So why, to me, why would you trade for David Bednar when you could just pick up Yimi Garcia right now? Maybe he gets traded, maybe he doesn't, but who's trading for Yimi Garcia in real life? So I guess my point is it's always going to be a starting pitcher with ace upside to pull a Chris Medlin or, what DeGrom's doing this season. So, I can't believe it's going to be Willie Peralta or Chris Flexen doing that, but maybe David Price is that guy. Doesn't he start at home against the Rockies this weekend? So maybe he's that guy who's readily available and they stretch him out and he starts putting up big numbers. It could be him. Maybe it's Aristides Aquino, who I think that'd be ridiculous, but
we've seen him do it for a short stretch of time.
Maybe he pulls a Willie Adames and starts hitting for power every night. I guess that's possible too. So Tristan, you have any answers here? You're the guy who wins leagues.
Show does not read my columns, and I'm sorry that makes me sound like a jerk, but it's just this is as broad a question as it gets. And Eric, I like your mentions of David Price. I would have thrown Josiah Gray, who we just talked about. You're talking about upside. Show wants upside. That's what we're looking at. And the hitter one for me is Jarren Duran. And I wrote about him the other day. So if you want to have a detailed rundown, it's more than we should spend time on here.
If you're listening to this show, I don't know how you can't be reading Tristan's work every week. He wins
and
all
yours.
his leagues. No, I'm just mailing it in. But you win all your leagues, and you got to read what he says. I wasted a column.
He's mailing it in, but I'm going to the mailbox every day, okay?
How are we still here? I don't know. All right. What's next?
Well, this question came up for me while you were talking about the increased scoring potential as the season goes on, and I think I buy that. Is there anything actionable you would do to adjust your roster to account for that? Does it make aces more valuable?
Yeah, I think trading for starting pitchers that you can count on.
High-end guys? Okay.
And who are not going to be on innings limits. Like, you have to trade Trevor Rogers in Miami right now because in a month he may not be pitching.
A 2-for-1 kind of thing? Him and a lesser pitcher for a
better pitcher, a better player. If you want to buy low on Mookie right now, he's better than this. He's got Yelich, who maybe his power comes back. I don't know. Rendon, who I think I moved out of my top 100. I just, I'm trading for a healthy guy. the guys who haven't been healthy this season that have multiple DL stints keep going on the DL. Like, why would you trade for, Rendon or Yelich right now? They're not healthy, clearly. Or Voit. Luke Voit could come back by our next show. Why are you trading for Luke Voit? You think he's just going to all of a sudden be healthy? I don't. What were you going to say?
This is why, by the way, I insist that Eric is wrong. He is not mailing it in. He's doing the overnight Federal Express with the extra charges so you get it early in the morning. You're spot on the workloads. The workloads are so critical right now. We have never been in this situation I can't say the history of baseball because I don't know about 1919, 1920. For some reason, I wasn't analyzing baseball back then. But in the fantasy era, we have never faced what baseball's facing in terms of managing these workloads over the final 2 months.
And by the way,
I would want the guys you trust. The aces.
I wrote about Wade Miley to lead the guys who threw no-hitters column.
Yep.
Wade Miley's arm is like made of rubber.
Yep.
He's not going to get hurt. He's on no workload. He's fine. But you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. They were
guys like Adam Wainwright is not going to get hurt. Adam Wainwright doesn't throw 98 miles per hour. Adam Wainwright is a guy you want to invest in. He goes deep into games. Last night, maybe a little too deep. But the point is, he's not going to get hurt. You want innings? Yep. Adam Wainwright gives you innings. So, and these guys are readily available. I'm not, a free agency, but I'm sure that the Wainwright owner is going to trade him. Anyway.
I have Wainwright on my NL-only team in that big league. I have Luis Garcia on my AL-only team in that league. Which one do you think I am more worried about? And it's by a lot.
Garcia's pitching in middle relief at once a week in September for a team that thinks they've already won the division.
Yeah. He's a better pitcher.
Oh, yeah. But that's not what we're arguing.
But that's not what we're after here.
Exactly. And teams that are out of contention, like if Casey Mize has a hangnail, you think he's pitching in September?
They announced in May that Casey Mize was going to be pitching in a piggyback role, and I thought it would be by this point.
Yeah. I mean, so it's contenders versus non-contenders. So why would the Tigers risk anything at all with any of their young stars? And it's a shame about Spencer Turnbull, who I really like. Yeah. And I liked him a couple of years ago, but now we're not seeing him till 2023, which is the same.
Yeah.
And Davey doesn't like it either.
Who's that free agent, that relief, or the starting pitcher who keeps bouncing around? I think he's been with Toronto and Miami, and now he's with Detroit.
There's a starting pitcher on Detroit.
There's a guy who keeps bouncing around. I think he was with Milwaukee to make a couple starts either last year or the year before that. He's just made the rounds as the new Bartolo Colon.
Well, he's not in their rotation today. I don't know
who is. I'll find it.
Now I want to know who you're talking about.
Yeah, if Tristan has interest in a guy, I suddenly have interest in said guy.
Oh, no, I don't have interest in the guy. I'm just saying that the Tigers are trying to align guys to fill those innings.
They're showing their hand.
I mean, they could shut down Mize and Screwball and Matt Manning,
It's a Zach.
In a month. Zach. What do you mean it's a Zach?
It's a guy named Zach.
Who?
Godly.
Oh, you don't want him. Why do you want him?
I'm saying
he doesn't
they're
want him.
aligning pieces.
Oh, yeah. That guys like that are going to be pitching in September for half the teams in baseball. Zach,
or am I missing
Godly?
No, maybe he went somewhere else. Maybe it wasn't Detroit.
I mean, you pitches anywhere is worth targeting.
The Phillies are going to have to turn to Chase Anderson. That's maybe this weekend.
Oh, the Brewers.
Terrible.
Oh, Cleveland. Cleveland signed him. Okay. See what I mean? This guy's been making the rounds everywhere.
I want to see Bartolo. We will devote a whole show to this if Bartolo Colon comes back.
We've done more for less.
Come on, Baltimore, do it.
National League team. No, National League team. Please, a National League team.
Sorry. I want to see him hit. Yeah.
Hit him.
Yeah. Last year to watch pitchers hitting, I want to see it, please.
You know what? It may not be.
It better be.
I think it's 50-50 at this point.
It better be gone, and there better be 9-inning doubleheaders and goodbye to that extra inning rule next year.
Or what? You and I will watch hockey together? We'll break.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Break down James Van Riemsdyk every night.
Just a hockey guy. I like it.
Flyers. Anyway. Kraken. Good for the Kraken. That was fun. I watched a little bit of that.
Fun jersey too.
Fun jersey. All right. We're wasting time.
All right. Dan had a question about another innings eater. What's Lance Lynn's value in a keeper format? 34 years old, continues to produce at a high level. Any reason to think he's not an ace over the next 1 to 3 seasons?
If he's not in my top 10, he's right there. And he's right there for the next 3 seasons. They just signed him to 2-year contract extension.
Yep.
No concerns whatsoever with Lance Lynn. Durable. 2 years, $38 million extension starts next year. Ton of strikeouts, ton of wins on a good young team with good offensive pieces. Again, if Lance Lynn is not in my top 10 among starting pitchers, he's like 12. He's right there. Love him. No concerns. You?
No, skills look solid, consistent. No loss of velocity. He minimizes hard contact. There's nothing here in this profile that looks like a big concern. And I mean, it's not the first time we've seen a power arm guy like this put up good numbers past the age of 33. I mean, it's a huge debate for Dynasty just because we think so much about prospects, but you're probably getting 2.5 more elite years out of him, don't you think?
At least I see no concerns here. Obviously, spin rate didn't hurt him at all. He's allowed 3 runs in his past 4 outings. He's fine.
Well, you say at least. I gotta ask you. You'd place the bet on it being more than 2.5 years.
I would say 3 years. You're right. But I think things are different now. 37 years old. Why can't Lance Lynn still be good? I mean, Verlander was fine his last year. Scherzer's still fine. I mean, I don't want to just put an age on a guy and say, "Oh, Nelson Cruz, you're done now." Nelson Cruz isn't done. Nelson Cruz is, your designated hitter by next Friday or somebody's, and they should trade him. I want to see him in the playoffs. Nelson Cruz is still great. So
some pitchers are built for this, and he seems, watching him pitch,
that body, the way Lance Lynn is built, even in his Cardinal days, you knew he was going to be durable. No concerns whatsoever. I would trade for him in a dynasty because you want to win the next 3 years too. Don't worry. Don't stop adding guys who just got drafted. Okay, Jack Leiter, great. We're going to see him in 3 years. Well, Lance Lynn for the next 3 years is going to be a top 10 starting pitcher. Yeah. I'd rather have him.
Would you trade in a dynasty league? There's no lock on how long you keep the guys. Would you trade Adley Rutschman today for Lance Lynn?
That's a little bit different because I think Rutschman is going. Would I trade the first pick in the amateur draft, the Pirates catcher? Yes, because that guy's 3 years away. Rutschman is a top 10 fantasy catcher next year. So that I may not do. I think Rutschman is plus proposing. Yeah. But almost anybody who's a prospect right now, would I trade Julio Rodriguez for Lance Lynn?
That's the next guy I was going to ask.
Yes.
Julio Rodriguez.
Of course I would.
Now,
we think Julio Rodriguez will be great. Lance Lynn is great. You want to win that now or in 2027?
But that's the question. If you couldn't calculate it that you had a high likelihood of winning the league, not cashing in, winning the league, would you do it? Let's say that trading for him is giving you a 50-50 shot at the championship. 50-50.
Take the shot. Yeah, I'd win now. Take the shot and win now.
I can't argue with that. I can't.
You always try to win now unless it's obvious you can't.
I think if it's under 50-50, I'd probably keep the prospect. But you're right. You got to win.
Most of these prospects are not going to work out, people. I mean, I'm in the middle of a score sheet draft right now where we're all drafting all the guys who were just drafted in the amateur draft last week. And I know that these guys, half of them are not going to pan out. I got the shortstop Brady House of Washington. I don't know. First of all, I'm waiting 3 years, which is ridiculous, but that's what we're drafting. So I would love to trade that guy if anybody in that league would listen, and none of them would. I would love to trade Brady House, who I just drafted, for somebody who could help me right now, or even like Eloy.
All right. I like that discussion. Mike wants to know how Ohtani, or how the positioning works for Ohtani, if he's getting credit for playing the outfield in these games that he's starting, and if he were to enter 2022 with outfield eligibility, would he be your number 1 ranked overall player?
Does it matter to you? First of all, he's not going to get 20 games in the outfield. He has, 6?
He has almost no chance whatsoever.
Well, he has 6 games. He could get to 10 and be eligible this year in the outfield, and that would help teams.
Right.
But to me, he is such a good hitter and useful pitcher that whether he's DH only or outfield as well, I mean, obviously would make some difference, but not enough for me to go again. Like, I still think right now Tatis and Soto over Ohtani next year. I mean, have you seen what Juan Soto's done, people, in the last week? Juan Soto, I said on last week's show he could win the batting title. He could hit 20 home runs in the second half of the season. He looks that good right now. He's locked in. He's going to say the Derby did it. Come on. The fact is, Juan Soto was always one of the best players in baseball.
The Derby didn't do it. Him being awesome did it.
Exactly. And so if Ohtani is DH only next year, maybe he's my 3rd, 4th, 5th pick. If he added outfield eligibility, I don't think he would go ahead of Tatis or Soto. That's right now. And Turner's in there. Who else is in there for you? Acuna can't be because he's probably missing some time. Mookie. Is Mookie even top 10 right now for next year? I don't know. Maybe not.
Might be, but it would be back end. That would be a debatable thing.
A Trout, obviously.
Yeah.
Would you take? All right, so let's put it this way. If we project, this is going to sound wild, but this whole entire show for me has been, Mr. Lincoln, if Trout we project to bat 320 next year with 35 homers and 3 steals, and Ohtani we project to bat 300 or 280 with 35 home runs and 20 steals, but Ohtani's not outfield eligible, would you still take Ohtani over Trout? Think you can make that case?
You can make the case because what you're getting in addition for the pitching.
And the pitching.
I don't think he's a 280 hitter. I think he could. I don't think he is a 280 hitter.
That stolen base difference makes Ohtani a better fantasy option as a hitter alone than Trout. That's crazy.
As a hitter alone, no, I don't agree with that. With the pitching,
doesn't the player rater bear that out? The player rater bears this out. The 20 more stolen bases for a guy with just as much power. Obviously, there's a batting average difference. If it's 40 points in batting average, that would be a differentiator. But
the valuation of batting average year over year makes me say I'm not sure. I see what you're saying. It is possible. I'd have to run the numbers on that. It's close.
So you're taking Trout over Ohtani next year?
I'm not sure I would with what I know today. But I
don't see how we can.
That would be very I'm not going to jump on this Ohtani band. Throwing the idea that he's the number one pick to me is completely absurd.
Oh, I didn't say one. I said three.
I know you're not, but the question takes us in the direction of number one. That part of the discussion.
If Tatis and Soto are my 1-2, is Trout or Ohtani number 3? I think it's Ohtani
Trey
right
Turner
now.
over them without question for me. It's not even close.
Not even close.
Well, okay. It's to me, he is the guy. I don't have to hesitate to say that for me, Trey Turner is over those guys. You could put them 4 or 5.
But with that comes some health risk too with Ohtani that you don't have otherwise.
Yeah.
How many years are we going to talk about health risk on Ohtani before it happens?
It's happened every year.
Hasn't happened this year.
It's happened.
I don't care about last year.
Giancarlo Stanton.
That's not the same thing.
Yes, it is. It is exactly the same. When you have a history of injuries at a young age.
Carlos Stanton hurts a hamstring walking down the steps. Ohtani's played for 4 months now without injury and pitched.
He has also put himself in position much more often than Giancarlo Stanton to get himself injured. It doesn't matter how you're getting there. The fact is he happens to get injured. I love the fact he's staying healthy, and it's going to make me feel a lot better about him next year, but he is going to be way overdrafted if he has a fully healthy season.
All right. You know
he's
what?
Not as good at batting average. He's definitely got injury risk.
I better not have jinxed Ohtani this weekend. Don't tweet me if he gets hurt.
I don't think he did. But the outfield thing, does it matter? No, it probably doesn't. It would be nice.
That was
By the way, what I do,
an easy question.
What I do is I look at the DH guys, DH only. Is there going to be a high volume of them? And I'll give you the DH guys only for next year look like Nelson Cruz, Ohtani, Giancarlo Stanton, Yordan Alvarez, and JD Martinez are probably going to get to outfield eligibility. Yerman Mercedes, Franmil Reyes, Mitch Moreland, Miguel Cabrera.
Whoa, Yordan Alvarez is going to get 20 games?
Yeah, he's got 15 in the outfield. 15 in the outfield. Good chance he's getting there. Oh, Miguel Cabrera already has first base. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't care about Miguel Cabrera. Okay.
It's not a year that's going to be full of DH onlys.
All right, great. Let's finish up.
Last question here. I want a one-word answer from both you guys to answer Mark's question. Paul Goldschmidt's OPS has improved each month. Do you buy him as an Elite 4 category guy the rest of the way? One word, Mr. Carabell, go.
No.
Tristan?
No.
All right, easy enough. He's been impressive, though. I've watched him. He's playing well.
Wording the question.
Elite?
Yep. We throw around labels too freely.
3 category. 2 category, really.
Good player. Good player. But
better than he was 2.5 months ago.
Top 100 player.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, here we go. Back to trivia. Name the 2 players with a 300 batting average and at least 10 steals since June 1st. Tristan had an out of left field guess. Let's hear it.
I was going to throw the guy we mentioned before, and that is Akil Baddoo has been that good lately.
Close, but no cigar. Witt got there last night. This was supposed to be a one single player question, then Witt had to steal the base last night. So Witt is there, so Mr. Carabell, of course, gets one right. But you need the other one, which is where we started with this question.
That's going to be the tougher one, I'm sure.
This is the tougher
I'd go to
one.
Trey Turner next, and it's not going to be an obvious guy.
It's not going to be an obvious guy. So in a sense, you're right by being wrong.
Well, Tim Anderson's been running.
Tim Anderson does not get there. He has 7 stolen bases. Scrub.
I don't think Tommy Pham's batted 300.
I don't think he can. I don't think he's capable of it.
Tommy Pham, 7 stolen bases.
It's not Straw.
315 batting average, though. Straw, 8 stolen bases. 295. So he didn't. There we go. A first bad, not really a bad guess, but
Well,
You didn't qualify.
Not far off.
You didn't qualify in either. You nail all my trivia.
Trout.
No, you nail all my trivia. So anytime you're wrong, I'm taking
Tapia.
There we go.
Oh,
I knew it'd only take you a few guesses.
Rockies player.
He's been running a lot.
311 with 11 steals since the beginning of June.
Yeah, underrated player who I probably don't rank well enough, but
where is he on the season? Split?
Oh, it can't be good.
No, that's what I'm concerned about, is that he has been awesome.
They played more games at home, haven't they? I think.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, 845 OPS at home, 576 on the road.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not good. Although the steals are the same. Same stolen bases, home and road.
So he's at Alberto Mondesi's August 2020.
Do you realize Raimel Tapia is the number 11 outfielder on the full season player rater? How about that?
Yeah, he's had a very good year.
Ahead of Starling Marte, who was hurt. Ahead of Winker, Walsh, Haniger, Rosarena, who has been good of late.
Do you like players who you know exactly when to use them and they're going to deliver great numbers, but you can't? You don't?
No,
okay.
I don't. I hate rostering Rockies in fantasy. I got to tell you, I know people think that's crazy, but I don't want to. I took a Herman Marquez for like $1 or $2 in Tal, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But I hate thinking about like 2 start weeks at home. Now he's been usable at home, but
this is bad.
What?
I've got a bad fact for you. The Rockies have 28 remaining home games, and they have 39 remaining road games.
Go Herman Marquez. Trade Raimel Tapia quickly.
Sorry, it's 38. So it's
Trevor Story was going to struggle anyway.
38-28.
That's interesting. That could be written in the Trevor Story to the White Sox report to play second base. All right, we're done for today. Thank you so much for listening to our little show, Fantasy Focus Baseball. We really do appreciate you listening, and we hope you listen for the final 2+ months of the season. We're going to keep doing it. We think on Mondays and Thursdays, Fantasy Focus Baseball, presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Congrats to the Bucks. Kyle Soppe, great job as always. Tristan Happy Cockcroft as well. And I'm just Eric. Have an awesome weekend.